we think are valuable rather than waiting for them to approach us. We have a dedicated esports team that is just doing esports. We have 4 guys in my office. We have 1 regional guy in every other office, as I mentioned earlier. So we have people really knowing what's going on and like scouting teams before they become big. We signed CLG, Counter Logic Gaming, when nobody was sponsoring a League of Legends team back then. And so if you look at League of Legends, it's a good example. In the North American scene, outside of Curse and Dignitas, the top 8 are all sponsored by Razer. There's not even any other major sponsor in that scene, simply because we went out and approached these guys and said, hey, were you guys interested in sponsoring with Razer? I think you guys are doing a great job and we'd like to work with you. So that's something that we haven't been doing before. So generally our sponsorship engagement, we went from about 20 teams that we sponsored back then to over 50, including a couple much more high-profile teams, like adding CLG, TSM, Team Liquid, Empire. There's MVP, Slayers. These teams that we picked up, they're like, I mean, Slayers not anymore, but we picked up some really high-profile teams to just to get our brand out there and to engage them, because a lot of teams, even though we try to make it simple to apply with us, a lot of good teams that had value never applied. And so rather than waiting for them to apply, we looked, okay, which are the teams that we think would provide value? And generally we look at both regionally and so we want to be represented in every region, in every game at the top, right? So for us, we can pinpoint this is a team that would fill in a strategic gap in our esports engagement, and pick that team up or approach them and see whether something's possible. Some teams just never had the balls to apply, to put that bluntly, even though they were providing a good value. Or like the first thing I did when I took over our esports team is, like, for one thing is approaching a lot of teams. The other thing is that we got our application form up on the site and properly set up, so we get relevant information of the teams and can evaluate them, because before that we didn't necessarily have a very good application form. So to be fair to the teams that didn't apply before, it was somewhat of a convoluted process, and you might not even be getting answers back then. Nowadays you always get an answer, whether positive or negative answer, but you always get an answer within 2 weeks of applying for a sponsorship, and it includes some hints towards why what we're looking for and why we might not be able to consider you for a sponsorship at this point in time. And that's since July we've got like almost 1,000 sponsorship applications. So that just gives you an idea of how many applications we have to sift through every day. So obviously I can't write an individual reply to explain everyone, okay, this is what you should be doing, blah, 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 explain, but we have a rough overview of, hey, these are the things that would be valued by us. If you can come back, work on these things, and come back with another proposal, we'd be happy to look at it again. But yeah, to come back to your question, it's these two things. North America esports has been dead for a while, and it's then basically blew up again. And the other thing is that we also had a shift in strategy, that we would approach more teams directly rather than waiting for them, to make this a bit shorter.
And I really like the shift that you guys had, so I think you did a good job, Chris.
Thanks.
That brings up another interesting question, though, about the as far as the team dynamic. I thought, when we have a lot of, whether they be sponsors on, Kim Rom was on another podcast a while back, and he had mentioned that no matter, and one of his big sort of recommendations is, no matter how big you are, don't be too big to fill out a form. Because he said he would have people direct emailing him, and they had an amazing proposal, but he felt that them bypassing the method of contact to be a real problem. And I want to get your opinion on that too, because honestly, I felt that way. If I saw a sponsor with a contact form, I was constantly looking for a phone number I could call. Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want to fill out this contact form in that sense, and make me sort of put me in the same pool with everyone else. So I think other people with organizations might feel that way as well. So I just want to get your opinion on it.
Well, if you have my direct contact, you can contact me directly as well. That's not a problem. It's just that the turnaround time might be slower, for example. Like, we have a couple of team managers that would be evaluating sponsorship applications. So going through the standard process already gives you a bonus point because you are smart enough to go through the process that we want you to go through. The other thing is that it gives us all the relevant information. So I don't have to go back and email you, hey, this is all nice, but I also need this and this information. Then I get an email back with like 2 of the 3 extra things that I needed to know about. So that application form is there for a reason, because if you fill that out properly, I have all the relevant information to give you a proper answer right away. As opposed to an email, which people will always miss out on certain things. And there's no advantage of writing, there's definitely no advantage of writing to us directly, because, I mean, the application form comes to us directly, but in a format that I can quickly look at and see, is this worth a second look, or are these guys, like, do I want them or not? And then I can give you a faster answer and a better answer, as opposed to if you write me an email. So if people just follow the application form, it would make things for both parties a lot easier. Yes.
I think
Does it somehow answer your question?
A lot of teams get worried that if they do it that way, if they just do it that way, they're like, oh well, we're not going to get noticed. They don't realize that how important that process is, like you're describing it, how easy it is and seamless it makes it to just kind of. It's not that you're weeding a bunch of people out, although you might be weeding them out. But I think a lot of it is there's so many young people in esports and so many people that are not familiar with the business side of things that they're like, oh, I know what that means. That's just some form letter where they're just going to look at it and they're going to just throw ours right out the window. I better try to email them. I better try to call them.
So in that case, if you're really interested in a sponsorship, do all of them. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
email, try to fill in the application. Like, if you don't have the time to do all these things, then you're probably not worth money for me at the end of the day. Like, if you can't even take the time to properly apply for a sponsorship, then you're never going to have the time to do anything like for me subsequently either. You don't seem to be serious enough. Like, if you don't want this, then I'm not going to give it to you. If you don't want it badly enough, right? So it's as simple as that. If you think that application form alone doesn't do it, send the application form, tell me on Twitter that you did, send me an email that you did, and like then I see that you're very serious about this, and I'm going to make sure I look at that presentation or that application. Yeah, I mean, some guy in the chat just mentioned this. It's similar to filling out a job application. We get hundreds of them, both like sponsorship applications or job applications for that matter. If you don't seem to be serious about it, like I can draw like, okay, it's the same thing, whether it's a job application or a sponsorship application. If you misspell our company name, if you misspell anything really, and okay, this is especially for English-speaking teams. Like if you're a non-English speaking team, you might have, like, you get some slack there. But generally, if you don't look at the form and you pay attention to detail in the way you apply for something, you're not going to pay attention to detail in the job that you're applying for, or when you have that sponsorship. And I'm getting a lot of applications where Razer is misspelled. And then it goes to the point in time where we ask for unique monthly visitors or anything like that. Unique monthly visits, and they put Facebook instead of a number. So that's his unique monthly or like website visits. I visit Facebook, YouTube, and Reddit. I was like, that's great. What I wanted to know is how many website visits you get to the team site. So these are teams that I can relatively easily dismiss, simply because they can't fill out the application form in a proper way. But other than that, like if you're serious about an application, fill out the application form. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know via email, and someone will like look at it, whether it's me or someone else, and we'll get back to you with an answer within 2 weeks. Usually faster. Like I would say that all team applications right now are getting answered within 3 days. But we put that like. We gave ourselves 2 weeks, so we have enough time to reply.
All right, Kurt, that's gonna have to be it for tonight. Chris is gonna have to. Chris got to get back to work, man. So,
all right, guys.
All right, thanks, Kurt.
Chris, I appreciate it, buddy.
Great questions. All right, Chris. We're gonna have to wrap it up, but man,
awesome.
Good stuff, Chris. Holy shit. I think.
Was it usable?
Yeah, I think
Dude,
so.
Chris is a beast, and Chris is actually, like he's like the. Like it's funny because a lot of people don't know who Chris Mitchell is. Like, everybody thinks about Kim Rams as big, really booming personality, or even some of the folks are creative or whatever. But I mean, I think Chris is doing a lot for this industry, and I think that he deserves every bit of credit that everybody else is who's doing the job that he's doing, which is a difficult job, dealing with a lot of young folks, dealing with a young industry, and being responsible for a big marketing budget is not an easy job.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate just having the discussion with us and sharing as much as you did, and just being honest and everything, Chris. So big props to you and big props to Razer. I mean, we're all Razer guys here. Whoops, John, you're actually cut off. Shoot.
I am?
Fix that. Yeah, sorry. The screens have been all changing.
Oh, that's okay because I'm not wearing Razer headset, which he already pointed out. So
shame on you.
So I don't have any.
Yes. Okay. So we'll make sure that happens.
But I know. We'll talk after this.
But why don't we do some shout-outs? Do you have any shout-outs, Chris, you want to do at this point?
Well, not really. All our teams, I guess. I mean, ultimately to all our fans of Razer, I suppose, and just to all professional gamers, really, whether they're sponsored by us or not, and not just the professional gamers, but the team managers, the press guys, the people that do it on a volunteer basis. These guys are doing a lot to bring this industry that I think we all love forward, and I think it's a great thing that people do that. We're trying to do our part in our capacity, but like these people are super important for our industry to get to where we want to go. So yeah, shout outs to these guys and to our fans, of course.
All right, excellent. Mark, you have any shout outs? Oh, I can't hear you, Mark. You're muted.
Sorry, my bad. Just kidding, folks. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to thank of course, our sponsors, Razer, Machinima, Twitch TV, Machinima Versus, and we're going to be working with Alienware, so that's going to be exciting as well, at least on the facility side for some equipment and stuff initially, and of course our partners StarTel, and I mean just everybody out there who's working hard to try to make this a better place, as far as an industry goes.
Yep. John, you're up.
As always, I'd like to thank those that tuned in. This conversation was, from start to finish, was just chock full of information, and I'm just hoping that one or two team managers were listening and picked up on some of these very important things that sponsors are looking for, so that they can do a better job at it. More sponsors can get involved, and we can grow all together and get esports really to the next level. But really, thanks for those that are listening. Obviously, thanks to CSN. If you haven't heard, Lone Star Clash 2 has been announced. And then I guess next week we'll have to talk about the League of Legends debacle. So just make sure you tune in next week, too.
Everybody's been talking about it, and I think I got so much crap for talking about we're the last screw up or whatever when we had the League of Legends episode. So I just kind of tried to avoid it a little bit this week.
Well, you could have rubbed it in their face this time, like 2 in a row. Anyway.
But All right, yeah. I mean, like John said, this is a great, great episode. And hopefully, hopefully you guys will, thank you for watching the show, all the viewers out there, and hopefully you guys will spread the word. And I mean, the stream chat was great tonight. I mean, it's just, very, very vibrant. So really, really great there. But the VODs will be up very, very soon after the show. So you'll be able to find all the VODs at youtube.com/ChanmanV. And I'll tweet whenever it's available. And I'll tweet you the direct link to the thing. All of our Twitters are underneath our names there. So, follow Chris at Mitchell Chris. And yeah, I mean, let the folks know, let the folks at Razer know that, we appreciate them. And the only thing I would say is that I hope the players that are watching don't think that we're just trying to like dog on you guys or bash you. I mean, I love the players. I mean, hopefully everything I've done up to this point proves that I love the players out there, and I want them to be successful. I want them to make this living, live this extravagant lifestyle one of these days, and and that was what this discussion was about. It was about getting you guys to be able to do that. So hopefully you guys understand that. But yeah, anyways, let's see. Next week we got who we got next week. We got Anna Prosser from EG to talk about media, and hopefully somebody else too. I'm gonna try to actually no Anna's the next week. We got Russell Pfister from NASL. Jeez, what am I talking about? So he's gonna be on next week, and it's gonna be a day show, so it's gonna be on our day slot, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll kind of be going back to that normal slot. Chris lives on the other side of the world, so that's why we did a night show tonight. But anyways, that's going to be it for Climbing the Ladder this week. We will see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys. All right.